Tanse, hello. Tawaham Nitsika-san, Seze Tawaham Suyi. My name's Tawaham. I'm from Lutsoke Dene, and I'm Plains Cree on my mom's side. Setsi John Thomas, E. Isidore Thomas, Setsune, Mary Crooked Hands, Ikwa Nukum, Teresa Dume. Just want to properly introduce myself before I introduce you to Bout 3 of Voices of Today's competitive poetry slam, coming to you live and digital. I also want to acknowledge that though this is happening digitally, we are still, Voices of Today has traditionally taken place in what's colonially known as Toronto, traditionally the Huron-Wendat, Petun, Haudenosaunee, and Anishinaabe territories, as well as treaty territory, specifically the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant between the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe, and the Toronto Purchase Treaty 13. As we move online, Voices of Today looks to amplify the voices of the original caretakers of the land across the globe. It's our goal to honor and offer education to everyone on the over 10,000 years of Indigenous culture and history that exist worldwide. 100,000 years, depending on where you're from. We recognize the majority of our current organizers live across Turtle Island, which is what the Lenni, Lenape, and Iroquois people traditionally have called North America. As a festival, we acknowledge that reconciliation takes ongoing efforts from non-Indigenous peoples. We ask all non-Indigenous attendees to continuously learn about the history of the land and its people, where we live and occupy, as well as to treat the land with respect, the best way that they know how. As for the land that I'm coming to you live from, on the West Coast, it is the land of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. And I imagine folks are coming from all across the stolen land that is colonially known as Canada. I would, like to set some ground rules before we get started. And the first big one is leaving your hate at whatever gateway you need to leave it at to make sure it never comes up here. No hate speech will be tolerated. And that includes saying hate speech in, say, quotations. I want to remind folks that you can hop onto our Discord. The link should be right below me here. And you can chat, you can say things. This is like a great place for you to give some support to the poets as their videos go on. I also want to say that some of these poems will be about sensitive topics, and we prioritize the audience taking care of themselves. And I really think it's important that you do take care of yourself. As if you're feeling uncomfortable and you feel like maybe you need to walk or zone out on something for a moment rather than watch, that's every single poet would be relieved to know that you are taking care of yourself. And also we have active listeners who can be identified in the pinned post of the Discord chat. And I will mention their names right now. Our active listeners are Samia and Britt. And our access person for today is Xander. There's also Rabbit Richards. If anyone feels unsafe at the festival at any point for any reason, you can message Rabbit on Discord, and then you can move off of Discord to texting if that makes you more comfortable. Now, if you haven't bought a ticket yet, you still could on the website. And that's voicesoftoday.com. And all of the money for tickets today are going to the Freedom School. Freedom School is a 3-week program for children aged 4 to 10. The purpose of the project is to respond to a lack of humanizing, self-affirming, queer positive educational opportunities for Black children in the Greater Toronto area. Freedom School will provide an alternative setting for parents who do not feel that our children are being taught self-love and a passion for justice and liberation through their formal education. The program is designed to teach children about Black, Canadian, and diasporic history, and to engage children in political resistance to anti-Black racism and state violence through a trans feminist lens, and to offer children an entry point into the Black Lives Matter movement. So yeah, give generously. I would like to know, are folks ready to get into our slam for today? Now, I can't hear it, but I know you are ready. So I still have a couple things that are more slam related to talk to you about before we get kicking in. And right off the bat, I want to mention that our format for today is 2 rounds. The first one being a 1-minute round, and the second one being a 3-minute round. Each round will have a sacrificial poet, and the round orders are as follows. The first sacrificial poet is Annika. The first poet is Felix. Then we have Reality, Toxicity, Dana, Soul Schaefer, Dog Days Are Over, Mystery. And then for the second round, we will be reversing the order, starting with our sacrificial poet, Chuck. And then it will be Mystery, Dog Days Are Over, Soul Schaefer, Dana, Toxicity, Reality, and Felix. I'll mention that in between rounds as well. And now for the fun part, which is the rules, or really the lack thereof. We are going by Apocalypse ruling, which is to say costumes are allowed, props are allowed, musical instruments are allowed, animals are allowed. The one thing that isn't allowed, or the couple things that aren't allowed, I mentioned hate speech, no covers, meaning all work must be original. Those samples are allowed, and no nudity, because consent is required and mandatory. Poems can be performed in any style, in any way, and you don't have to worry about time because we have pre-recorded videos for you today for our slam. Now, taking scores, the scoring is going to be privately sent in. And so our scorekeeper today is Anali. Anali is our scorekeeper. And as for the judges, we have 5 judges today. We have Michael Jasso, Ash, Holden, Dana, and Odysseia. Those are our judges. Now the audience, you won't be seeing the scores, and really just we want to hear you commenting on the poems themselves. You're not going to hear the numbers at all. And in between poems, you'll hear some like nice messages, instead of me shouting out numbers that may or may not have any kind of relevance to y'all. And judges, this is where I'm talking to y'all. The first poet is our sacrificial poet, and it is a calibration poet. And that means that for the rest of the day / night, depending on where you are, this is the baseline poem. If you like a poet more than that one, or you feel more intensely about it, maybe score them higher. And if you didn't like a poet as much, then that's the one that you score lower. But you need to remember this first poet. This first poet is the benchmark. I don't want to see no score creep throughout our session today. So yeah, that is the bar being set for today. And I want the judges to be mountains, unmovable. We're not having any earthquakes. So with all of that taken care of, you've heard from me for quite a while now. You have our first sacrificial poet coming up to the stage. Please welcome Annika.
You're so much. You're so wise, they say. How do you know so much? And you don't want to tell them. You don't want to remember every broken bone and broken promise and broken heart. Wisdom is learned from experience, and you have had too much. You have seen too much. You know far too much. Lessons learned in fire and lightning, in poison and acid, lessons paid in blood and insanity. You have learned more than you ever wanted to know, more than anyone should know. You would give anything to forget. But you have learned that you cannot forget. And so, instead, you teach. With every lesson you pass on, you hope that you can change someone's story, change someone's ending. But mostly, you hope that they will never need it. You're so strong, they say. How did you survive so much? And you tell them the truth. You had no choice.
Wow, that was our poem from Annika. Give it up wherever you are for Annika, everybody. I would love to hear some comments in the Discord chat. From Kay, you had tell them the truth. I had no choice. I love this poet. OMG. As the scores come in, do thank our judges. I want to correct. I said Michael's name wrong. It's Michael Yasso. And yeah, I think we're probably still waiting on scores, but do give lots of love in the Discord chat. Like, I know many of you have probably been in a Zoom for these kinds of things, and that's a great place to send your snaps. Poets are gonna love to see that all over the chat. So as much energy as you wanna give, you got the link right here, and do check it out. As we're waiting for, the first scoring is always the longest scoring. I'm going to be depending on our judges to be quite quick, and we've got all of our scores, which means it's time to head into the slam officially with our first poet. Give it up for Felix, everybody.
This poem is about strap sex. I don't know, and I have no one to ask. I don't know which angel was charged with the task of aligning the stars so sunlight could stream through your window. I don't know which angel put oxygen in your blood so that it could rush to the blush in your face. I don't know why God made carbon in the cotton of your bed sheets that slip off the mattress. But there's one thing that I know. As I watch your eyes roll, as I listen to your soft moan, you and I, and others like us, are the reason God made silicone.
That was your first poet. Give it up for Felix, everybody. That was Felix in the first poet of the first 1 minute round of the third bout of Voices of Today. The talent in this competition is astronomical in caps. We are just waiting on some scores. I want to thank some of our volunteers. You have our venue captain, Zane, our access person, Xander, our active listeners, Samia and Britt, our StreamYard tech, Kay, and I will mention some more names as we move on through. We have all of our scores, and moving on to the next poet of the round. Please give it up for Reality.
Coffin kisses that burn my lips like cigarettes and spiced rum. Cold bony fingers that I wear with pride trace my spine, sunken eyes that hypnotize. They make red and blue my favorite color scheme. Can't tell if it's love for me or for the pixie dust that twinkles your nose. I fell in love with your tragic physique under a full moon's curse. Death looked good on you. To the light of day when I wake to find that my undead king was just another corpse leading me by the hand to the grave.
Please give it up, everybody, for Reality in the 1 minute round. And I'm going to Discord. Wow, what a banger. We've got snaps, snaps, snaps all over the place. This flow, though. And I'm seeing people type and type and type. I'm took the words out of my mouth, mystery. Death looked good on you. Wow. And as we are rolling, waiting for a few more scores, to give it up for our judges. And please welcome our next poet of the 1 minute round, Toxicity.
You send us to the kitchen not knowing how skilled we become with knives. You tell us to raise the children and we raise them to kick your ass. Don't tell us we'll forget the labor pains. We've known them since our mother's contractions left negative imprints in our deepest memory. Clenching this burning volcanic rock in our fist, we were the original sinners you wish you could be. Behind our rose petal skin, beneath these soft lips are spells, swirling words that curl up in the air like smoke and choke the holy constitution to death. The future can't be female without the present bleeding red, and our entire lives have been violent bloodshed, giving birth to a new age. And you put us in high heels, walking statues in the office space where we learn to run. These red Louboutins turned into flamethrowers, setting this ladder ablaze. Be prepared for an inferno worse than 1,000 blisters. And you rush to fill our oral cavities with clay because we are the only ones dethroned by God and feared by the devil.
And that was Toxicity, everyone. Please give it up. In the chat, we've got a wow. We have an all caps yes. Applying lipstick while poeming the talent. Yes. Got a bunch of thumbs up on that comment, 3 of them. This is fun. Keep these comments going in the Discord. I always love getting a chance to read nice comments for these poets because I can't make any of my own. We are just waiting on a few more scores. Also, the fire in the poem, chills, absolute chills, feared by the devil. Yes, hell yeah. And with that being said, please welcome to the stage, the YouTube virtual stage, in the 1 minute round, Dana.
When I'm old and gray, the Alzheimer's crawling through my mind, erasing the life I had once lived, I will forget the unforgettable memory of our first kiss. Wet with rain, our bodies cooling with temptations as our lips touch. I stayed my hands through her soul and have never let go. The kiss was hungry, the poverty of love being filled by touch, taste, and smell. It was real, more real than my own 2 hands before me, stroking her cheek. The stain of that cold and wet night will be the last to leave my forgetful mind, as I realize now the beauty of age. I won't be aware that I am forgetting her beautiful face one last time.
And that was Dana, everybody. Do give it up for Dana. We have an amazing, so much boss bench energy in this poem. I love it. With a thumbs up. Do keep those comments rolling as we are waiting on those scores. I want to thank also some more volunteers. Give it up for our StreamYard video streamer, Noah, making sure we can see each video as it comes, as well as our live stream watch, Chuck. And in the chat, we've got all the snaps. Snap, powerful, forgetting the unforgettable memory. Ah, I can feel it. And with that being said, let's welcome our next poet to the stage, Soul Schaefer.
I live in a student neighborhood, and one thing that I've noticed is that there are missing cat posters at every intersection, several of them on each telephone pole. And yet the whole time that I've been here, I've seen maybe 2 or 3 cats. I've tried to come up with explanations for why this might be. Few of them have been happy. But the story that I've settled on is that they have all found each other. Somewhere beneath the concrete, there is a cat city, where the tabbies and the strays and the kittens and maybe even a raccoon or 2 if they play nice all live together. and they protect each other, keep each other honest, and keep each other safe, lick each other's wounds, allow room for growth, and most of all, take care of each other when they need it most. I hold the city in my heart, hoping one day to build my own, or if not, at least the next time I run through these streets looking for ways to self-destruct, maybe I'll find a community of cats.
That was Soul Schaefer, everybody. Coming to us live from YouTube, pre-recorded. Give it up for Soul. And I've got a Love This Poet, Cat City. Ooh, interesting. With a big red heart. The kitties forming a community. They all protect with 3 hearts. And there's an image of cats kind of hopping around a little bit. Got startled a little. So cute. Cats. Yes. A face that would probably make more sense if I was seeing it on my phone. Beautiful. Love it. And with that being said, please welcome our next poet. Dog days are over.
Oh, whiteness, why are you so obsessed with race? I'm not the fucking one drowning enough brown spines to messiah us to an American oasis, then call out wetback, not misnaming us colonized colonizer like Spanish person in custody, when every jail cell threshold mouth screams louder than undocu children cry, quieted under America's right wing. The left wing tokenizes me so gilded I become treasure box full of medallions screaming SPIC, right wing, left wing, same fucking bald eagle with a meadow of brown scalp graveyards under my every golden feather. And so I wild flare inferno, the sour bread of Christ, to un-KKK, all the staled wine spilled from melanated blood. Oh, whiteness, divineless God, un-amen.
And that was Dog Days Are Over. Give some time for that poet in the chat. We've got big all caps. Wow, 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 wow. This is powerful. Chills. And people are typing. Scores are coming in. I do also want to thank some more volunteers, such as our direct messenger, Billy, and our scorekeeper, Anali, and not to mention all of the judges. And in the chat, we've got Blown Away. Geez, what a poem. Where do I begin? Same fucking bald eagle snaps with 3 red hearts. Holy incredible. And with that being said, please welcome the next poet of the round, Mystery.
I am tired of playing broken telephone at the dinner table because we never make it past the first turn. My whispered words spill, then sit, then the letters simmer in the soup before ladled into bowls every time they are too sharp. Scathe everyone's tongues except mine, swarm my serving with just enough sustenance to keep me sitting, not shouting, follow the rules, keep playing the game, keep clenching the answer like a child who can't keep their mouths shut until the family cleanses their palates by skipping soup for sorbet. Serve themselves something sweeter, soothing, as if my words were never swallowed to begin with. Change the subject as quickly as television channels, and I am asked for the answer as if we were still playing. Instead, I watch as a sticky strawberry dribbles down to their chins. Their sticky turns to staring, turns to silence, turns to scurrying to soap dishes. We never declare a winner, a loser, and I begin to fear this was never a game after all.
Please give it up for Mystery. Seeing in the chat, I am so ready. This performance. That was Mystery. We are waiting for some scores from the judges that we are so grateful for, including Michael Yasso, Ash, Holden, Dana, and Odysseia. big thank you for their consistency and judging. Now, please, if you have a chance, buy a ticket, get those donations flowing to the Freedom School. And in the chat, we've got some more, yes, some snaps all around that emotion. And you've got the Freedom School's link right there. These poets are delivering nonstop. And we are just waiting on a score. And we have all of our scores, which brings us to the end of the first round, the 1 minute round. And it happened lightning fast, like a good lightning round does. I'm going to take one big deep breath, and you can if you want to too, as we move into the next round. With our second sacrificial poet. Judges, remember, this is your baseline of the round. This is an opportunity in case you forgot your score, your sacrificial score of the first round, and maybe started swaying from it. This is a chance to recalibrate. So, with that being said, please welcome our sacrificial poet of the 3 minute round, Chuck.
Coming out, take 2. Dad, you asked only one question the night I told you I was gay. It was, are you sure? They were the only words you said that night. Besides, if that's your choice, then that's okay, Mom. You told him it wasn't a choice and told me you love me with your hand on my back. Thank you for the privilege coming out to loving parents whose only qualm was, are you sure? I tell you I'm sure. Even when the questions in my minds and the doubts from the worlds get mixed up in my head, duplicating themselves like reflections in a house of mirrors, I don't recognize myself in. I tell you I'm sure. Because wouldn't any hesitation, any incomplete explanation fall on the face of who we're supposed to be, defiant and proud? Aren't we not supposed to come out until we vanquish the voice inside that says, no, you are straight, just trying to be a special snowflake. The way you feel towards women is fake. You can't be gay. Once we come out, are we not allowed to change? I tell you I am sure. Because doesn't any admission that maybe I'm not 100% certain leave room for you to constantly hope for it to just be a phase for me to end up with a man one day? So I tell you, I am sure. And end up with a man one day anyway, and I know it's maybe not what you expected. Because I didn't expect it either. The relationship surprised me like finding a cool shape in the clouds when I was just looking up to check if that was a raindrop I just felt, and maybe it is what you expected, or at least hoped for. For me to admit I'm straight, that being gay was just a phase of a confused, depressed teenage girl easily led astray, but I never felt a sway. Just that sometimes some things change, and it wasn't falling in love with a man that even started the internal debate. It was like calling myself gay was like rounding up to the nearest decimal place to keep things simpler, like describing a leaf as red when it's really auburn, because gay or straight or even bi or pan would not go the whole way to describe who I am, and I'll never forget Mom trying to explain the fucked up nature of the gender binary and you telling me it was too much, and me feeling like I was too much, like I need to narrow myself down to an identity you could wrap your head around, but I'm getting tired. The imprecision of rounding, shifting myself from round peg to square peg back to round peg when the hole I fit best in cannot be described beyond irregular. Irregular, like not fitting into any word the dictionary has to offer, because it's only now the straight world is even beginning to consider my gender irregular. Like choosing your own name after so long of not even feeling like you could choose your own clothes, irregular. Like causing confusion when two names from two spheres of your life collide, irregular. Like coming out to the same people twice. Mom and Dad, it's time for us to talk again. Gay felt okay at the time, but never great, and I don't know if you're glad because you think in the end I turned out straight, but I need you to know that gay was just the first step on a queer journey with no end in sight, and you're right. There is no way of knowing, I'm sure, this time that this will be who I am forever, but for right now, I can't just keep pretending to be your daughter, and I'll be patient with you. Just please, be patient with me.
Give it up for our sacrificial poet, Chuck. We've got some messages in the chat. Now that it's a 3-minute round, you have more time to send things like, I'm so impressed by all the talent tonight. I love this poet, this poem with a rainbow heart and another rainbow sparkly heart, rounding it up to the nearest decimal point to keep it simpler. And we are just waiting on some scores. Keep those comments coming. This is Voices of Today, the third of 4 bouts, I believe. I have goosebumps. And there is typing. There is the ticket link in case you need it. And we have gotten our scores. So starting, our next poet in the 30-minute round will be Mystery. Give it up for Mystery.
If there are secrets we choose to keep, are the ones we give away no longer ours? Like the ones that soak our pillows at night, or etched into notebook paper, or spilled in a pair of jeans I'll never throw away, holes and all, if I tell you about these secrets. About the time I saw her and looked longer than I should have, know that it's because they aren't safe with me anymore. I've been folding up my pride as careful as origami, placed Toomey paper cranes into my back pockets because what a shame if Mom found it in the closet instead. So when someone asks, I pull them out, pull their wings up like I've committed a crime. I've definitely stolen something that doesn't belong to me, shouldn't belong to me. If Mom asks me to give it back, I'll pocket them away and tell her I did. Isn't it easier to spoon feed her stories and secrets of shame than serve the bitter medicine all at once? Why does it have to be bitter in the first place? When people hand me their crisp cranes, their jumping frog, pumping heart creations, it looks like they got it right on the first try. If I place mine into yours, it might look deformed, stained, torn up. Maybe I should just take it back. I watch as a beginner to this Japanese folding art, how they crease in confidence, carry cranes on their prideful backs, and they never fly away from them. I want to ask them, does your bird have any missing wings? Was your medicine bitter too? Is it bad if I want you to say yes? I think I use too many metaphors because they're both my coping and defense mechanism, both the sail pushing me out of the storm and the wind pulling me away from it. It is the only place the rainbow and I can cross paths without being struck by lightning first. And sometimes I forget to look inside my back pockets, so most times I forget what's inside. Most times it's because you make me want to forget what's inside, so most times it's now all the time I spent running in circles. You'd think I'd figure it out. I wasn't straight, but what happens when you can't stop spinning? At family dinners, sipping hot chai, both the beverage and the gossip, bumping into eager voices and eyes of aunties making bigger than small talk, but smaller than big talk about a husband-to-be for a story that hasn't happened, that might never happen. When they ask for an explanation for something you don't know yourself because you don't know yourself, is it even worth the try? I've slipped too many messages into bottles, sailed them away to remember which one is true. They've traveled so far deep into the oceans, the deep blue of my back pockets. It's hard to remember which one was at the bottom. I wonder if they'll ever resurface on the shore again. I don't want to believe they will. So when I tell you about my secrets, that means I couldn't just write them away. When I tell you about my queerness, the secrets I wasn't supposed to have in the first place, I'll ask if you forgive me. When I tell you about my secrets, I'm sorry if they come out as an apology. I've been rehearsing it as if it should be. So do you forgive me? Do you forgive me? Do you want to forgive me? Do you even love me? How long will it take for you to love me?
Please give it up for Mystery, everybody. In the 3-minute round, we've got a yes. We've got great opening. Why does it have to be bitter in the first place? Is it bad if I want you to say yes? My queer heart, the metaphors, they just keep getting better. I am so impressed. And one of them, rainbow hearts. I want to mention that this is actually the third of 3 rounds. This is the last round. And the next event after this is the showcase featuring Joy Young, Kit Tempo, and Shay Alexi. That'll be happening right at 4 PST or 7 EST, or somewhere in the middle if you're in the central or mountain. And yeah, 4 to 6 PST, 7 to 9 EST. Back to the chat, we've got some chef's kiss indeed. Yes, 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 yes. I'm relating to this poem far too much for my own good. Now, please welcome our next poet in the 3-minute round. Dog days are over.
Internalized homophobia as 5 stages of grief. A fractured erasure. 1. Denial. I earthquake the radiance of my queer, deny its sun rays. I'd rather unbecome into a straight line, hide my spectrum from the cathedral of my uncle's homophobia. I push an erect bell tower against my spine when my masculinity slouches. A man's erection is just a monolith unable to replace my Eucharist. 2. Anger. I loathe my queer, its radiant moonlight. I cut my tongue into a heterosexual sunrise. I scream at God when his halos don't suffocate the queer out my throat. I pray violently for the last supper of my queer. I shove a bell tower into my spine each time I lust for Adam and not Eve. 3. Bargaining. I exchange my body with my straight star below the horizon. Body avoids dying. Supernovas of body reject grieving themselves into shattered stained glass. Less hetero joy than homophobia can gaslight. Bare-chested locker room boy becomes forbidden fruit. A haunting bane of my reflection. My stardust implodes into itself. Limbs of broken mirrors with less galaxy than sacred. I become prayer. I survive by crucifying my body to please a Bible. God's dick dissolves in my hand. I'm a corpse buried under my ego, so I skin a preacher's tongue till God unwrites my name with less red ink than black holes. I'm gravitied with grief, more wrecked lantern than drunken prismatic sun rays. I'll phoenix myself for fucking ever if I have to soak in the sun for depression. My star below the horizon is dying. Supernovas grieving into shattered stained glass. Less hetero joy than homophobia. Bare-chested locker room boy becomes haunting of my reflection. My stardust implodes in broken mirrors. Less galaxy than prayer. I survive by crucifying my body to please God. I'm living as a corpse buried under my skin. A preacher's tongue writes my name. Less red ink than black hole. Grief, more wrecked than drunk prismatic sun rays. I'll phoenix myself for fucking ever if I have to. 5. Acceptance. My star, supernovas into stained glass. Less phobia of my reflection in broken mirrors. Less crucifying my body to please God's corpse buried under a preacher's tongue. Less black hole grief. More prismatic sun. I phoenix myself for fucking ever.
Please give it up for Dog Days Are Over. We've got so many comments. The form, love and erasure. Quote, I cut my tongue into heterosexual sunshine. Quote, damn, fire. Y'all are incredible. There's a heart there. Holy wow. God's dick dissolving in the hand. Oh my God. I'll phoenix myself for fucking ever. What a line. Wow. So many goosebumps. For fucking ever. Actually, I didn't say that right. So many goosebumps. And we are just waiting on some scores. I do want to thank all of y'all in the audience and on our Discord for keeping it real, keeping it feeling live in these weird days. And now, please welcome to the stage. And I want to give a content warning for inappropriate relationship, abuse of power, and manipulation. But do please welcome to the stage Soul Schaefer.
Get lucky, so lucky, got lucky. You were an adult leader. I was a junior counselor, which means it was strictly forbidden for you to be with me, but everyone knows camp rules are meant to be broken, and besides, I could take on all the tasks that the leaders could, so of course I could consent to a relationship with one, right? Get lucky syndrome can occur in situations where there's an inappropriate age gap in a relationship between a boy and an adult woman. Rather than recognize the relationship as harmful, the boy is made to think that he is getting lucky and feel that this is something he should be proud of. In this way, victims of manipulation or abuse are prevented from properly processing what has happened to them. Get lucky, so lucky, got lucky. We had a running joke that we were going to move to Italy and raise kids together. They were going to speak 4 languages. You told me you weren't sure where the line between joking and serious was. When I got home from camp, I told my parents that I thought I was emotionally mature enough for kids. I didn't tell them about you, didn't tell them about the line between joking and serious, didn't tell them about the unprotected sex. I'm 20 now. My little brother is 16. In 1 year, I'll be as old as he was. In 5 years, I'll be as old as you were. I'll do the math for you. 8 years and a position of authority. You had a boyfriend your age back home. I was in high school and you taught kindergarten. I don't know what the fuck you wanted from a 17-year-old, but I will never let that happen to my brother. Get lucky, so lucky, got lucky. Could I have said no to you? Probably. Should I have had to? Should you have taken a boy and turned him too soon into a man 17, too young to understand the difference between being proud and being prey, needing help instead receiving locker room praise? So I guess what happened was all okay, right? And the part that haunts me to this day, right, is how little I heard anyone say right, because they knew. Leaders and staff, they knew. Adults would laugh, they knew. He asked me my score, fuck you. It took 2 years before I began to think that things between us might have been wrong. 2 years before I began to ask questions, and suddenly it all came back and everything was tainted and gross. And that camp should have been beautiful, but now it just looks like you. And every part of me that you touched, my memories, emotions already rearranging themselves into convenient shapes. Our mutual friend said she thought it wasn't abusive. Even the law wouldn't tell me it was wrong, and I thought I liked it at the time. So why do I feel like I want to leave this skin behind? And now I'm spiraling for days down through areas gray until finally I heard what I needed to hear someone say that what you did was not okay. What you did was not okay. I did not get lucky. You are not a part of me anymore.
Give it up for Soul Schaefer, everybody, on the virtual YouTube stage. We have got an okay instrument. Fuck them. Wow. This poem. Tell them. But now it just looks like you and every part of you. Keep those comments coming. This poem is so powerful. And we're just waiting on scores. What you did was not okay. I'm glad you got to hear that. These are lovely comments. And this has been a show so far. The music, the words, everything. I'm speechless. Wow. Goosebumps. I am speechless. There's a lot of speechlessness. And now, welcoming to the stage, this virtual stage, the next poet is Dana.
Little girls are not supposed to talk about sex, but yet, here I am. I want to drink wine from the hollows of your collarbones as we laugh over the sound of Frank Ocean on a record player because we are pretentious. I want to lose my fingers in your hair, brown curls twisted like soft satin ribbon. I want our palms to touch as we tumble down the hall. As you lean over top of me, my back pinned to the cold wood door. I want to dig my nails into your shoulders like I'm carving into a delicious roast. You make me hungry to taste your lips on mine. Nothing is worth craving more. I want you to lift me onto your bed as I'm as weightless as a balloon that you're just begging to pop. And when I do, boy, is it sweet. I want you to show me what sugar tastes like. Show me what it means to be sweet. I want you to read me like your favorite book. I want you to run your hands over me and feel every word. I want every page turned. I want you to bring the words to my lips. Every cliffhanger leaves you begging for more. I want you to read me with the lights low so I can feel your every glance. I want to play you like my favorite piece of music. I want to pull every bar chord from your beautiful voice. I want to feel your vibrations as I pull at your strings. I want to make a symphony in the thin walls of your bedroom and pray we don't wake your roommates. I want us to create a fire with the beats of our hearts in one. This is more than fucking. This is a fireworks show of beauty. Little girls are not supposed to talk about sex, but this is more than sex. This is the feeling people chase all their lives. And when the symphony is done, and you've read my last sentence, we lay there. Your hand in my hair and my palm on your chest. Your heart jumps to beat with mine. I slip a sweater over my bare body and it swallows me like a hug from you. I stand in front of you. And you take me by the hand as we slip out your window like the kids in Peter Pan on our way to Neverland. We light a cigarette and fill your lungs as we sit on your roof in silence and watch. We watch as our magnificent fire slowly dims to a lit candle shared between our two bodies. We watch as the sun slowly blankets the sky in a painting of melted colors as if it were a parade celebrating us. And when I fall asleep with my head still in your lap, half asleep yourself, you lay me back on your bed. Cigarette on your breath, you kiss my head, you kiss me, like it is only us in the world. And when I wake to the sound of coffee grounds and running around, I look at you and realize it is only us. Little girls are not supposed to talk about sex, but yet here I am.
Please give it up for Dana, everyone. Still waiting for some comments to roll through the chat. I do want to take a second to say that I love hosting for youth shows. There's so much wonderful innovation that happens when youth do poetry. And I'm just saying that generally. I ain't going to peg anybody else specifically at all. But it has been a wonderful honor to be hosting for this bout. And in the comments, we've got the rhyming, we've got typing. We are just waiting on some scores. Ooh, the videos may have gotten mixed up. That was not Dana, everybody. I believe, if I remember correctly, actually, I will wait for someone to sort it out and let me know who that is, because I don't want to make another mistake of misnaming. But I will be here while we kind of sort this out. And I do really want to apologize, because that's not something that we want to do when we're honoring youth poets for sure. That was actually the poet that was for after Dana. We are going to put up Dana now, as we do have our scores for that poet. I do want to just, like, for a moment, make sure that I have the right person, because I know that wasn't Toxicity, and that's the person after Dana on the list. I just want to make sure that we got the poet's name right, that we're naming them before I move on to the actual poem from Dana. That was Reality, everybody. So do give all that love towards Reality. Sorry for the confusion. Let's keep that energy going into the actual poem from Dana.
1. He stops talking to me, stating we can't be friends because I kissed his girlfriend, when a few months before he kissed me without that same girlfriend's consent. 2. I asked him bluntly, are you looking for a relationship or just friends with benefits? He says he's not looking for a girlfriend right now. 2 weeks later, he's in a relationship with someone else. 3. He made my lip purple by sucking on it too hard. I told him it was funny. He said it wasn't funny and I don't think we should date anymore. 4. He threatens to burn my house down if I broke up with him. Then he's confused about why I kicked him out and put a new lock on my door. Funniest part of the story is that we weren't even dating. 5. He treats me like a doormat he wipes his shoes on, and then later, when he's dating someone else, tries to text me inappropriately. 6. We agreed that we want to try an open relationship. A week after we start dating, I keep the communication open by telling him about sleeping with another woman, as you would in an open relationship. He tells me that that's where he draws the line and breaks up with me. 7. I spent 45 minutes on the bus there to meet him, and he can't even take time out of his night to drive me home when it's 11 o'clock at night, snowing, and the buses just stopped running. I can't drive you, he said, so now I'm stuck outside, trudging through the snow to find a way home just because he needed that extra time to fuck another woman. So at the end of all this, I'm stuck walking as far as I can to downtown to avoid paying more money on a cab. Making my way through the slush, carrying my school books that are getting wet from the snow, and cursing his name just to pay $80 for a cab plus tip to get home. I text him later on, calling him out on what I had to do to get home that night, and he pretends it never happened. And now I'm standing in front of him, and he's repulsed by the fact that I'm wearing a strap on. I tell him, honey, it's so I can screw you in all the ways you fucked me over.
And that was Dana, everybody. Please give it up for Dana as we wait for those scores to come in. Keep those comments rolling in for the poem that was Dana. The poem that just happened. And I don't have any more volunteers to shout out. I guess I will shout out myself. I've been your host today. I am Tawaham. Yeah, if you like my hosting, you can probably find me on almost any social media through my name. And yeah, just waiting for those scores, that last line. We got some snaps. And I will say that we do have our scores now. So please do welcome our next poet in the 3-minute round of Bout 3, Toxicity.
My love language is healing, mending, band-aids, wrongs into rights, waking after the rain to watch the plants grow again. My love language is love letters to 14-year-old me, the girl inside me who still hurts and therefore still hurts me. I print neatly, pen stroking smooth across the paper. I say to her, I promise you are doing enough. My love language sounds like the piano, a little less Bach, a little more Debussy. The ivory keys whisper like swans swimming circles in the lake, morning sighs in the dew of springtime. It is words spoken softly, asking, are you okay? But it is also saying, fuck it, and spiking my hot chocolate at 9 p.m. It is drunkenly dancing to 80s music and crying to old favorite albums, all the way past the last track, in a never-ending process with no name. I have said my love language is words of affirmation because I have loved too many men with dry tongues. I have said my love language is quality time because hellos and hugs have turned into excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. And though I have not said my love language is acts of service, it is only because I am used to doing everything by myself. I have said my love language is gifts because why do I have to see every other girl get spoiled on Valentine's Day? And I have said my love language is physical touch because with no one to share the blankets with me at night, I will toss and turn with thoughts that burn, including the one saying, what if I die and this language dies with me? I admit it's not easy. It's more than just correctly conjugated sentences with thoroughly practiced verb tenses. And plugging phrases into Google Translate only leads to confusion. I speak in a string of symptoms for different diseases. The word partner becomes prescription, curing half the symptoms with twice the side effects, until my dating history becomes a bathroom cabinet full of half-empty white sticker containers, different pills, all for the same ailment. And I constantly wonder, have I made the mistake turning these into personality traits? Am I even fluent in my own love language? When I tell my future partner what my love language is, I hope he learns it alongside me discovering it, and I will learn his no matter how simple or complex it may be. I hope he loves the taste of each dialect melting itself onto his tongue as the correct enunciation starts to feel like second nature. He'll swallow each symptom so I can love with no side effects. And I hope he gives me space to heal myself.
And that was Toxicity, everybody. Give it up for Toxicity. We got some comments in the chat. We got some band-aids. Yes. Got toss and turn with thoughts that burn. Am I even fluent in my own language? And just like keep those comments rolling and typing. That was one of our poets in the third round. And we do have an event coming up after this, in case you missed it. It is the feature with, sorry, one second, Joy, Young, Kit Tempo, and Shay Alexi. And that'll be starting at 4 PST, 7 EST. Another comment we got was love that. And we are just waiting on scores from judges. Judges, get those scores in. And we are moving on to our next poet of the round. But I want to give a shout out to Reality, who would be this next poet, but we mixed up the order a little bit. So big shout out to Reality and their poem for the second round. And now welcome our next poet to the stage, Felix.
On the ground is a bone-white carton of cigarettes. The wind has eroded the inscription. The hot, wet wind swirls in patterns close to the ground, the mosquitoes whispering in fat, venomous clumps on her skin. There is another carton, and another, each crushed and broken, tossed aside like bastard children, like fallen leaves, like similes in the second draft of a poem. And she picks them up. For research purposes, she writes about them so often, but she's never really touched one, even though now, for 1 year, her clothes have stank like smoke. And maybe there's a metaphor in how the paper feels. They snatch them away. I'm selling them to a friend, they say, and she knows which one, or she can guess. And she does not protest, because she is so reasonable and so tough that she does not let on that these things bother her. She does not let on that even though she hopes he's happy, she does not really care to learn about how anxious he is about his exams, or how sometimes it's cute when he takes so long to answer a question, or how his new therapist is better than the old one. She does not really care to imagine that a complex person could have been behind the knife, a nice boy who sometimes makes mistakes. But because she is so reasonable and so tough, she pretends it doesn't bother her. Because she is so reasonable, she tells the nice man not to call the police. Because she is so reasonable, she tells people who talk shit about him to be understanding. She is so reasonable that she accepts the blame, so that she can have friends again. She is so reasonable that she says it was her fault, and maybe it was. She is so tough that she does not deign ever to say that maybe she's been punished enough, that maybe it was her fault, and maybe it wasn't. Maybe she didn't deserve to have that happen to her. And they say people have different experiences with different people. Like sometimes they throw good parties and have a funny accent and good weed. And sometimes they are the reason there is a box cutter clutched in your hand, a Swiss Army knife, a plastic fork, your knuckles turning white over anything. Anything in the shape of a weapon. Let me write a love letter to my pocket knife. God made woman and God made man. But with you between my fingers, we are equals. Inside, she thinks I'm a nice girl. This shouldn't happen to nice girls. A nice girl should not return to the house where her father pays rent, reeking like blood and smoke. To more delicate crowds, I say reeking like smoke and cheap cologne. A nice girl hands them the carton of cigarettes and says she hopes he passes his exams. A nice girl says she hopes he eventually quits smoking. Because she is so reasonable, so tough, and such a nice girl, she nods and smiles when they tell her she's never really been through anything, that she doesn't have real problems like real people do. And like a simile in a poem, she edits them out.
And give it up for Felix, everybody. We've got a couple of comments like similes in the second draft of a poem, Simileception. Let me write a love letter to my pocket knife. Got some hearts, got some thumbs up to the wow, the cadence or this poet's voice is powerful. And that is some of our Discord mentions, and we are just waiting on some scores. Get those scores in. Got a nice exclamation mark. And as those scores are coming in, I do want to just thank everybody that came together to make this work. Voices of Today is a huge, huge endeavor, and it took a lot of hours of a lot of different youths' work to make this all happen. So if you can, buy some tickets, get the money flowing to the Freedom School, and we have our scores. And with that being said, that was our final poet of the evening / afternoon / whatever time it is, wherever you are. And now we're doing the math, which I don't partake in. It's not that, a lot of poets are like, I don't do the maths, but like I can do the maths. I just don't want to. And that's why I host instead. So while they do the math, I will thank our sponsors, such as, where'd they go? Ontario Arts Council, Toronto Arts Council, as well as the Golden Brick Road Publishing, EcoJot, and Living Hyphen. These are the sponsors that actually make this happen monetarily, and it's super, super integral to fund arts and to find funding for arts. So big shout out to Ontario Arts Council, to Toronto Arts Council, Golden Brick Road Publishing, EcoJot, and Living Hyphen. And if you haven't bought tickets yet, go do that to support the Freedom School. And I do want to thank every single poet in the round, including our two Sacs, Annika and Chuck, as well as Phoenix, Reality, Toxicity, Dana, Soul Schaefer, Dog Days Are Over, and Mystery. I think we have the scores, an interesting setup to give it up for coming in 7th place, Dana, as well as 6th place, Reality, 5th place, Toxicity, 4th place is Felix. Do give them all your energy and your love. In 3rd place is Soul Schaefer. And with a tie for 1st place is Dog Days Are Over and Mystery. Do give it up for that whole lineup that we saw today of incredible poems, videos, innovation, apocalypse style in the voices of today. That was our show. So at the end, do please come out for our next feature. Come in here with Joy Young, Kit Tempo, Shay Alexi, 4 to 6 PST, 7 to 9 Eastern Time. And competing poets, do remember to sign off on the scores via Discord with the scorekeeper. And big shout outs to everybody here. I believe that's everything. So with that all being said, this is Tower Hum and Bout 3 signing off.